First of all, let's talk something about the world economy. Many people worried that the world economy will dip into recession in the year 2023, if not a deep recession, at least a mild one. So how much concern about that?
We see a more challenging economy, which is difficult due to a number of factors. That includes rising interest rates, supply chain challenges still, inflation, potential bankruptcies as you look at those rising interest rates with the cost of debt continuing to rise, and geopolitical tensions around the world. You see cost cutting significantly by corporates. You see, for example, in the technology industry in the US, headcount reductions. The reality is most organizations are still trying to protect their human capital. So we see a challenging environment from an economics perspective. We see a slowing down. We do see two bright spots. Those two bright spots are India and China.
You said that China is one of the two bright spots in the world economy in 2023. As we all know that China is on the path of recovery, but we still need many more pro-growth measures to boost the confidence, to unlock the consumption power of Chinese people. So what kind of measures do you expect?
So the good news here is that we continue to see progress. The opening up of China post the COVID world that we have been dealing with is encouraging. That will enable travel within China, but also outside of China by Chinese citizens, which has a huge positive effect. Just in a few weeks, I'll be at the China Development Forum meeting physically for the first time in 3 years. Second, we do see the need to continue to stimulate the economy and support the economy as much as possible. So some of the changes that were made relevant to the real estate market, for example, are also encouraging as you look at what government policies are trying to do. The other thing, though, what we have to see is you want to continue to increase foreign direct investment and trade as much as possible. And in this regard, the ease of opening up and being able to make investments in China is very important for the foreigners. And second, if China wants to continue to be the manufacturing source for the world, they will have to continue to be economically feasible, but also bring a cleaner, greener supply chain source to the world as well. So speeding up that transformation is going to be extremely important.
You know, China is definitely the single biggest contributor to the world growth this year, but many people also have some concern of the spillover effect of uptick of Chinese growth, such as maybe this will adding the inflation pressure in the Western world. So do you share the same concern?
No, I don't think the concerns are the growth of China implicating the rest of the world. The reality is China's growth is good for the world because not only will it mean that there's more consumption within China, there's also investment and foreign investment from China to the rest of the world. I think the bigger thing is to say, how can China continue to its policies for opening up? And that's going to be equally as important as we look ahead here. And again, hence the reason for some of these broader policy issues to be landed, to be executed, and to see the change come through in terms of being incentive for people to visit, for people to live, and to people to want to work as much as possible at the same pace that was done previously.
From the starboard to the filing-based IPO mechanism, China has undertaken a series of reform on capital markets. So what is your take on that? Especially, how would that support the high quality growth in China?
Yeah, so what we've seen is some really good progress relevant to registrations, to listings, and willingness to invest in the country over the last decade plus. No surprise there. What organizations want to see now is a continuation of that trend. And while the actions are embedded in the policy changes that have been made, the question is, how do we bring them to life with the principles of opening up faster, opening up bigger, and opening up broader is really going to be important. So the ease of doing that with speed, and the ease of doing that in scale is going to be very important. So as you look at registrations, IPOs, joint ventures, and other kinds of investments, how easy and certain is it that I can invest? How easy and certain is it that I can continue to expand my investment, i.e. increased investment, is going to be very important in a very competitive world. And this is where I think, again, China has an opportunity if they can move forward.
But let's talk something about Shanghai. You are the sitting chairman of eBlack this year. And eBlack, we all know that is a very important tool to bridge the city, Shanghai, to the international business community. And eBlack was born 30 years ago, maybe. What kind of new missions that you believe that eBlack should have, and especially to make Shanghai more competitive globally?
First off, PwC and myself are proud to be members of iBlock, and we've been supportive of that group for many years. The iBlock organization is great to provide advice, suggestions, and counsel in terms of how Shanghai and the surrounding region can continue to evolve. We see Shanghai as a gateway into China. It's an opportunity from others around the world to continue to invest to enable not only the growth of Shanghai, but also the growth of the country.
You're right. Shanghai is the gateway for multinational companies to China, but that is not enough. Shanghai should do more to be more competitive, more attractive. And Shanghai is also doing that. Shanghai is keeping improving its business environment. So the question is, in this regard, what do you think Shanghai should work on next?
It's a very competitive world now, so you got to continue that innovation and scale that up as much as possible. Second, very specifically, is the green agenda. Shanghai as a region and a city can do more to speed up and maybe even accelerate the achievement of being greener when compared to the larger commitments that have been made by China overall. And third is going to be the issue of how do we create the right incentives and further advance the opportunity to, I'll call it, co-collaborate. What Shanghai can do here is actually be a convener to the rest of the world. And that's an opportunity for Shanghai to lead the way.
We both know that we are living in a very complicated world in terms of geopolitical view. So China emphasis to adhere to multilateralism and high quality opening up. What is your expectation of China's next move?
Yeah, first of all, let's be very clear. The world needs China and China needs the world. Our own CEO survey talks about China being a number one, number two, number three investment spot for the world from those outside of China. That's going to continue because China has the skills, it has the scale, it has the manufacturing capabilities, etc. So that is going to be important for it to sustain itself, but it's going to be a competitive world where other parts of the world now will be equally interested in actually gaining market share. So China will have to remain competitive, and that's going to be very important, which means you got to continue to drive change, to be economically feasible, to have the right labor and skills to do that, to be able to speed up decision making, both policy making and corporate decision making, and be agile to the changes that are happening, the things you can't control.